469. That's the number of anti-LGBTQ plus bills that have been introduced across the country just this year, according to the ACLU. It's a number that continues to grow. Florida's Board of Education has expanded the Don't Say Gay bill. The bill previously banned classroom education on gender identity and sexual orientation for kindergarten through third grade. The newly approved expansion will now include grades K through 12.
And the American Library Association has released its annual list of banned and challenged books. The most targeted books were written by or about LGBTQ plus and people of color. In 2022, ALA received over 1,200 complaints, nearly doubling the amount from the year before.
Right. So I guess the question is, what should book bans look like, and who and what should they apply to? Like, what should that look like?
I don't think there should be bans.
See, I agree with Laura.
What do you mean?
I mean, there should be like parental control, I guess,
Right.
if there's something inappropriate.
Yeah. Just like we go see movies, and movies
Exactly.
have different ratings, like this is M, this is R, this is PG-13. I think books should be categorized like that, but a book ban for something like this list we're looking at is like, I think
Not even that crazy.
Yeah,
I've read
7
some
out
of the
of
books.
10 were like.
I agree.
Did you guys read any of them, first off? Like the ones on the list? Were they really, like, as they called it, like sexually explicit? Any of
No,
them?
I read them in high school. I read like 3 of the books in high school, and I felt like nothing was wrong with them. They're like all coming of age stories, so I don't understand why a coming of age story cannot
All
relate
Boys
to
Aren't
kids.
Blue by George M. Johnson, I just read a couple years ago when it came out. Phenomenal. It was a black queer story, coming of age story, which we don't really get to see a lot of. It was actually just nominated for a Daytime Emmy because they did a dramatic reading of it with all these legendary black actors to interpret the story, and that just got nominated for an Emmy. So it clearly has an impact. These type of stories have impact, but to see a list and 7 out of the 10 top 10 most banned or challenged books are LGBTQ plus content or themed is problematic.
Target.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like over half of them. I mean, I feel like there's an agenda. Apparently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I like with the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm like, what are you talking? Like these kids in these schools are gay. Like this is not something that, like that's inappropriate or taboo. I don't get it. So I'm like, I can see them like banning overtly sexual books. Like some
Right.
books do not need to be in schools. Period.
I don't know about just taking them out, Jamal, but I just do think they need to classify them. Like this is for an
Yeah.
older audience, not the younger ones. But it should be the parents also too dictating what their kids read, not, you know, a group of people coming in and saying, hey, this book is bad, take it out of the school.
Well, some of the parents, I think the statistic was around 40% of the parents are some of the people that are challenging or asking for these bans to be put on these books. So I don't know who it should be, but to censor LGBTQ content, you're going to harm these children in those school systems. Because now not only are they not allowed to be taught anything of LGBTQ history within their school systems from kindergarten through 12. So they're going to go through all their public school not learning any kind of LGBTQ history. And then now you have these book bans where like now they can't even go to the library and find content that they can identify with. So what harm is it going to do to those children in Florida?
Yeah.
They like to cherry pick. Like I said the other day, I said, I mean, technically we could make an argument for Romeo and Juliet not being appropriate for children. I mean, especially with the ending, like, are you, like, people, let's be real.
Right.
But it's Shakespeare. You
It's
gotta forget-
Shakespeare. It's art. I mean, it's I don't think it should be banned, but I can make an argument for it.
Wait, hold on. There's more bans coming. So, House Republicans have passed legislation that will ban trans women and girls from competing in school sports. The bill would specifically prohibit federally funded schools from allowing people assigned male at birth from participating in sports designated for women and girls. What should that look like?
I know a lot of people bring up the argument of whether or not there's an advantage or a disadvantage when they're, you know, competing. But to your point, Ashton, I think in schools they're so young, they should push for more inclusion, because I already think there's so much like disadvantages with socioeconomic status to be able to like participate in sports,
Yes.
access to sports, and then adding this layer just makes it even harder, I think.
Right. I don't quite know what it should look like, because I'm not huge on sports. I wasn't big on sports when I was growing up, but K through 12, like you're under the age of 18. So you are still developing. So I don't think there should be any bans on any gendered sports. If a trans kid wants to play on a sports team, I think they should be allowed to. Now, when they get to a collegiate level, maybe that should look a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be a different conversation. I'm not sure. But I definitely feel like, what's the exclusion? Why should we exclude trans kids in K through 12? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just like the younger kids that aren't fully developed
Right.
yet. I mean, I don't know what we should do when they are developed.
Right.
Once we
That's
get
why
there.
you'll have to do it like on the case by case basis. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's really hard because
Yeah.
as like an ally, I want to be like, of course, I want any trans kid to do whatever they want to do. I want them to feel normal just like anyone else because they are. But at the same time, I do understand the other side where they think there is a distance. Like
Yeah.
they have an upper hand if they are more
that
developed or if
true,
they
though?
hit.
But is it
or
really
if
when they're
not on-
little? When they're little, you really think there's a big
Some people
disadvantage?
hit puberty really early. That's why you be seeing some of these guys walking around like 13, but they look 26.
Well, that's why it's also important to advocate for trans healthcare, because like those kind of things like disadvantage them in situations like this. Allowing them access to trans healthcare eliminates those kind of conversations.
As like
those
puberty
problems.
blockers,
Right.
things like
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
that. Yeah, because for that, like then it's like a non-factor because they aren't, you know, like hormonally,
Right.
they're where they should be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but I don't think it's to ban children in K through 12 specifically from playing sports. Trans kids specifically.
I don't think so either. I don't know the answer either. But thankfully, that's not our jobs, and we don't have to do that. But I hope the people that do make those decisions are out there really having those discussions.
They ain't,
Yeah.
but, you know.
But with all these bans, we do have some good news. I know there's a singer that is using her fame to, create change. Lizzo clearly posted her stance on the Tennessee's anti-drag show legislation and invited famous drag performers with her on stage at a show in Tennessee this month. She's a rock star, guys. I love her.
That was amazing. And especially in Tennessee to protest those drag bans, that was such a big deal.
I love seeing the stars do it. A lot of country stars are doing it too, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Which is important to see
Yeah.
in that area of the country.